Hey there, my name is Matt, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use MemberMouse and Elementor together to design a member dashboard page, how to style a checkout page, and really what I'm teaching you here in this video is how to use MemberMouse and Elementor together in such a way that you can maximize the functionality of MemberMouse while also making your site look the way you want using all of the great design features that are built into Elementor. And so in this example, we're going to build this member homepage here from start to finish, completely from scratch. I'll show you everything step by step by step. You'll literally see me do just about everything for the design in this. And the goal here is to give you the tools and the resources you need to do the same for your site, to make things look the way that you want them. And I'm also going to show you how to use some really powerful MemberMouse features that can allow you to customize the way you're displaying content here based on what people have access to and what they don't have access to. So thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. Here's a kind of look at the checkout page we'll be building. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Elementor with MemberMouse to do a bunch of cool stuff that you can use to style your site and make it look the way that you want. The main example we'll be working through is building a member homepage from scratch. So this can be the first page that somebody sees after they buy your membership or after they log into their account, where they can go to access the content that they've paid for, the courses, the links to your community, or whatever you have in your membership. And so we'll be building it starting with a blank canvas. And then after we do that, I'll also show you some really cool things that you can do to control the styling of the MemberMouse core pages using Elementor. It's super simple and can be a really great way to make sure that you have full control over the way things look on your site. So let's get started, let's dive in, and just one quick disclaimer here. I am not a professional designer, so like a lot of you, I use Elementor to build things quickly and to make things look as good as possible. There may be points in this video where I pause and need to check something, so please bear with me, but my goal is to make as valuable and engaging a video for you that you can come back to time and time again as you're building pages and using MemberMouse to create your membership site. So let's dive in. The first thing that we'll want to do, and you can see here that I'm just in a staging environment. This is an installation of WordPress, very basic with MemberMouse, with Elementor. I'm using the Generate Press theme, which is highly compatible with Elementor. Elementor works great with a lot of themes. They even have their own theme, which is basically like a blank canvas. It's the hello theme. So you can also use that if you don't already have a theme. But for this site, this sort of testing site, we're going to use Generate Press, and I'll show you how to do everything in here. So the first thing that we'll want to do is go down to the page attributes and change the template to be the Elementor canvas template. This is what's going to make it truly a blank slate. And if we look at the preview of this page now with this template, we can see that there's nothing there. So that's exactly what we want to do. So now what we can do, let me just hit save so that we have that there, is we can start editing this page with Elementor. So if you already use Elementor, you're probably super familiar with this, and you know that this is what it looks like when you're starting a page from scratch. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll just create a really basic header for your membership site. This can be something that you display across your entire membership site. And if you have a header already for your website that you just want to display, you can just skip this step. But for the sake of this example, I'll show you how to create a basic header for this member homepage where you can include an icon, links to your key areas, and just make it easy for your customers to navigate. So we'll just hit plus here and create we're going to actually use 4 columns for this specific section. And you'll notice that Elementor is boxing this in. So I'm going to change the content width from boxed to full width. And then this will allow us to play with these sections and make sure they're displaying responsively across the entire screen. There are definitely times where we want to have the content box, but this is not one of them. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background color of this section, and I'm just going to make it a standard black header. So we can put in that color there. The next thing I'm going to do is add just a really basic icon. I'm not building a real membership site. I'm building this purely for the sake of this example. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag in an image that I already have uploaded to my media library here in WordPress, which is this basic sort of Academy style image. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some text that we can use for links to each one of these 4 columns, and I'll show you how to style this to make sure it looks good. Okay, so I have my text loaded in there, and you notice things do not look right. This is not how you'd want a header to look, so I'm going to adjust this now so that it is much more visually appealing and looks like a header should look. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the width of this column, and I'm going to make this column width 70%. And don't know why that did that. It went to 7, so we want to make it 70. I think I have to make these ones smaller first. Okay, perfect. And then for this, now we need to even the rest of this out. So I'm just going to change the width of these columns so that everything displays correctly. But first, I think we should change the width of this image so that, yep, it looks much smaller and looks like a header image should look. So let's put that over to the left here. And now I'm going to go ahead and edit these. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how this looks now. We have these text areas here, so these can all become links to, for example, your course library or support page or the My Account page. You know, I don't have these live links, but on your site you will have links that are similar to this, and you can include those links here and then send people to them directly. Now, the one thing you notice about that is that these text areas are not aligned correctly with this image. And so something that you can do with Elementor that's really great is align these to the center of this content area. So let's just go ahead and do that now so that everything lines up the way it should. So we're here in the layout settings for this specific column. This is where you can set the width and all of that. And so for the vertical align, I'm going to choose middle, and then that's going to put that into the middle of this content area. And in my opinion, it looks a lot better than having it stuck to the top like that, which just looks kind of wonky. So now we have a really basic sort of header that we can use at the top of our member account page, member dashboard page. Obviously, you can style this however you want, but I think at this point we're ready to move on to adding just a nice graphic section here that tells people where they are. So let's add a new section. This can be a single column. Again, I'm going to make this full width. It doesn't need to be boxed. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the padding elements and give this a little bit more space just to make it more visually appealing for the person that's seeing it. So right from the get-go, I'm going to add about 100 pixels of spacing here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background image. So the way to do that is to just go into the style area here and choose the background type as classic, and then choose the image. And again, we're just going to some preloaded images I have here into my media library. and inserting them. So let's put this as the background image, kind of just a nice, interesting looking image. The things I'm going to change about this is I'm going to change the way that it's centered and that change the way it's repeating, because if you notice, I don't know if you can see it because of the way this image is, but Elementor is displaying multiple versions in a repeating pattern of this image, and if you turn it off, we can see that this is really just the one image here. So then if we change the size to cover, that will just extend it throughout the entire content area and make it stretch so that it is just one image. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background overlay, and I'm going to choose a gradient overlay because I think you can create a really nice effect with this. And this will just add some color on top. You know, it's nice to use black and white images like this because you don't have to have multiple images on your site. You can just choose colors to put on top of them and can just make things a little bit simpler for you. So let me grab the colors. Yeah, so for this site, kind of using the purple from this hat as a starting point for the brand colors. And then I'm going to change this from being a linear gradient to a radial gradient, so it's going to be more circular, and then just adjust the positions a little bit so that we have a little bit more of a dramatic effect. So I'm going to change that to 10, I'm going to change this to 75. And if you want to see kind of what you're working with exactly, you can just put the opacity of this way up, and you can see this is the sort of control you have over how these different colors are displayed in the gradient. And then for the opacity, I'm going to put this to 0.65 because that still allows you to see the image, but leaves enough of the effect there that it sort of draws your attention to the middle of the content area. So next we're going to add a heading, and this is where we'll tell people where they are basically. And so I'm going to change this to be centered. I'll change it to the H1, and then we'll just call this the member dashboard, and then adjust the font stylings a little bit. So I'm going to change the color to be white because it's on a dark background. And then we'll change the size. And change this to 72 so that it's nice and big. And then I'm going to change the weight of the font to 900, and that's going to make it look much more bold. Now, one of the really cool things that you can do with MemberMouse and Elementor is you can choose to use member data SmartTags and insert them into a section like this so that it can dynamically display information about your members. So in this area, let's say I wanted to have it say the person's first name member dashboard. So in my case, Matt's member dashboard. All you would need to do is paste in the member data smart tag with the first name variable in here, and then that would display as Matt's member dashboard or Jen's member dashboard. So here's how you do it. Just go into this content editor section, paste in member data, this smart tag, and don't worry, this will be in the blog post. If you want to just copy and paste this, add an apostrophe, and so this would say, if it were me and I was logged in, Matt's member data dashboard. Not member data, Matt's member dashboard. I'm getting my words mixed up here. And so if we save this and look at it in preview, right now I'm logged in with an admin account, so it'll say admin's member data dashboard, but it'll give you an idea of what this will look like for your members. And this can be just a really nice personal touch for people to see their first name and to know that they're in the right place and that you know who they are and you care about them and you're here for them. So let's close out of this and let's get back to building the member homepage area here. So the next thing we'll want to do is add just a text area. And again, this can say anything that you want it. I'm going to add some text, and I'm also going to add a video for people to watch. And now this is a section I will want boxed, and we can change the width, but for now I'm just going to start with this and then we can go from there. So I'm going to add in some text and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so I have this text added here. This is just another heading block, and you can see I've used this member data SmartTag again to display the first name. So this will read, "Welcome to your members area," first name. And now let's add a video below this. And this could be sort of an orientation video that you choose to use. It could be a welcome video, or it could be the piece of content you want them to have that week. It really depends on your site and your design, but you can choose any video, and Elementor works with a lot of the video hosts. If it doesn't integrate directly with your video host, you can always just paste the embed code in here with some HTML, which is super simple, and we'll be looking at a bit of that later. But for this example, I'm just going to paste in this MemberMouse video, and we can see all you have to do is that, and boom, it's displayed there. Now I want to add a little bit of spacing between these two sections, so I'm going to go to this advanced area and add a bit of padding to the top. Let's see, we got the timer there, so 15 looks good. Awesome. So yeah, things are definitely coming together, and I think now what we want to do is we want to build a place where people can access their courses. Imagine that you have a few different courses that people can watch or go through that are part of your curriculum. This area, this member homepage, could be a great place to display those, or to display your most popular ones and give people immediate access to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add some padding to the bottom here. I'm just going to add another heading here below this that says, "Here's a look at all your courses." Great, so we have this section here, and I want to keep this boxed in because I feel like it's nice to have this this particular type of information presented here in this way. But for this next section, we're going to move into a full width, and this is going to be where people can go to access the courses that are part of your membership. So what we'll do is we'll add in another widget, and I'm going to check, or I'm going to insert a 2-column section here. And again, going back and making this full width. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to display the image that's associated with the course on the left, and then I'm going to add a text section and then a button section where people can click to access the course on the right. So the way to do that, very similar to what we've done before, just drag in an image here. I'm going to choose one that I already have here, these books, and I'm just going to change the formatting of this a little bit. So as I'm seeing this, I don't think full width is necessarily the way to go, but I want to have a boxed section that's bigger than this section above. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to boxed. I know that this section above is 800, so if I change this to 1200, that looks good. It's extending a little bit beyond this section and giving us room to display the content that we want. So now for this image, I'm going to add a border, and it's not going to be a visible border, but an invisible one that just sort of adds a nice rounding effect to this image. I think that can look good and just yeah, be something nice for your customers to look at. And then we can even add a little box shadow if we want. Create a little bit of a dynamic effect there. I think that looks pretty good. And then I'll go in here and I'll add in some text and the button. Okay, so I think that this is looking pretty good. We have the image associated with the course here, and then we have the text that says the title. This is the beginner's course. Here's where you can access the beginner's course. In it, you'll learn X, Y, and Z. Click the button below to get started, and then we can have a button here, And this link and even the image can link to your course page wherever you have the content for that. Now, you can see that the alignment again isn't quite right, so we'll just go back into the layout section here and change the vertical align to middle, and that will line things up nice and flush with this image. And so I have played around with the padding a bit. I added some padding here to the right and also to the left so that the text area and the image area have some space between them. But overall, I like the way that this looks. It's very clear, and you're letting people know what to do. And this button too, you have some cool control over the styling. You can change, if you want an icon, you can change where the icon is. You can have a before or after. You can change the spacing. You can change the size of the button. You can make it small, medium, large, whatever you want. Same with the border radius, like we did with the image. If you wanted to make it more of a round button, you could increase it like that, or have it be a little bit more square. So all in all, super cool. This is where you would also go to add a link. You can add a link in right here. So yeah, this is, I think, looking pretty good. And then what we'll do now is, let's say that this is one course that you have, but if you have other courses, we can duplicate this section and add it below here and then make the changes we want so that you don't have to replicate all of your work. So I'll show you how to do that. But first, I'm just going to add in a little divider line to make a nice stop between these two. So I think we're going to have to add a new section here and then choose divider. And there we go. Again, because this is boxed in, we want to change that. And do we want to do full width? Yeah, let's do full width. And then we can change the color of this divider or the opacity. So I'll play around with that and make it look good. Okay, great. So I'm really liking the way that this is looking. If we go to the full view here on Elementor by clicking that arrow over there, we can see that we have sort of this gray line that's separating this section. And now we can add our next course below this section. So, that thing keeps getting in the way. What you can do here is simply duplicate this entire section. So, if you right click up here, you can hit duplicate, and then we can just drag this below the separator there. Now we might want to add a little bit of padding on top here, just to add some space between this separator and the divider in this section. So I'm going to add about 50 pixels of space. I think that looks good. And now we can go in and we can name this the intermediate course and change the image. But as you can see, it's a lot easier to adjust the styling once you already have this section created. And all you have to do is update the copy here, the description, and change the button link. But you already have another section here where you have you're giving people access to their courses and to find them. So let's just do one more, and this can be for the advanced course, let's say. So I'll pause, replicate all of this stuff, and show you what that looks like. Okay, awesome. So yeah, as you can see here, we have this third section here now for the advanced course. Same deal. I just used the styling that we created for these other two sections, changed the image. And again, if this were live on your site, you would just want to make sure that you're updating the links associated with these buttons or these images. But as you can see, we have a pretty nice area coming together, which has this header up top, the sort of graphic display, welcome here, a welcome video, and then access to the course library. Okay, now before we progress and build out the rest of the member homepage, I just wanted to add in a quick section here that shows you how to do something really cool that a lot of our customers ask about, and is something you're probably wondering about as well. And that's how to display and work with courses that maybe people haven't purchased yet. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a functionality that allows you to dynamically display two different buttons based on whether somebody has access to this advanced course. So let's say, just for the sake of this example, that when somebody signs up for your monthly membership, they get the beginner's course and the intermediate course included with the cost of their monthly membership. However, let's imagine that your advanced course is an upsell or it's an additional purchase that they don't get included with their monthly membership fee, and it can be purchased with a one-time purchase from the member dashboard. Now, the problem here is that if you don't set this functionality up, then this link is going to bring them somewhere where they won't be able to see the course because they haven't bought it yet and they don't have access to it. But what's really cool is that we can set up this functionality in such a way that if the person has access to it that's logged in, MemberMouse will detect that and it will display this button, the Access Course button. If they don't have access to the course, though, if they haven't purchased it yet, then we can choose to display a Buy Now button instead of the Access button, which will link them to a checkout page. And so this is really great, and this is an example that can be used in so many different ways throughout your membership site, but for the sake of this example, this is the most practical way to look at it, and I'll show you how to do that now. So this is going to be a little bit different than the way we designed these buttons before, because we're going to be using HTML instead of the button widget here. And so the first thing that we'll want to do is to just go in and create a product for the advanced course. And so I've already done this here. We have tons of resources on the support center and on our blog if you have questions about how to do this. And then we're going to assign that product to a bundle. So we can see that we have the advanced course bundle, which can be added to someone's account in addition to their monthly membership here. So this bundle number, the ID 6, is what we're going to use to identify whether or not the person who's logged in has access to this or not, and then choose to display the Access button or the Buy Now button. And so it's pretty straightforward. All we'll need to do is open up the page and then view the source code for this page. And all you're going to want to do is go and grab the HTML for this specific button, and you can do this just by searching Elementor button, because this will bring up all of the instances of buttons that you have on the page, and then just scroll down to the third one where we know that this is for the advanced course. And then all we're going to want to do is copy from here the div class down to here. And that's what we want to do for now. So then copy this and then paste it into a note file. And so we can see here that I have already done this, and I have these code snippets all ready to go. And so this code snippet is for the person who does not have access, so we'll want to display the Buy Now button. And then this code snippet is for the person who does have the bundle, and we're just going to send them to the course page. Now, you can see here we're using the member decision SmartTag, and the parameters we're setting here is that they do not have bundle 6. And then here we're also using the member decision SmartTag, and the parameters we're setting is they do have bundle number 6. So the thing that differentiates these two different pieces of the SmartTags is just this exclamation mark, which means basically no, and this one does not have the exclamation mark. So what we'll do then is we're gonna go back into Elementor. Here's the support article all about the member decision SmartTag. I'll link to it in the blog post. And we're going to delete
this button. So just go ahead and delete it because we don't need it anymore. And instead what we're going to do is we're going to just drag and drop an HTML block right here. So the first button we're going to put in is the one for the people who don't have it. And it's going to look a little bit wonky in there, don't worry, it'll look fine on the page. And then the second button we'll put in is for the people who do have it. So let's just put another button down there. We'll copy this one for the people who do have access, and we'll paste the code in there. Again, it looks a little bit wonky, but you can see that this one we've said to say buy course, and this one access course. So let's update this now, and let me share just one small caveat with you. If you want the buttons here to look like the buttons in your other section, all you need to do is copy the Elementor data from that first div class and have that be the first line here. So this section, div class equals Elementor element, and then all of this information until the bracket closes. This just came from this button. So just make sure you copy the styling from a button that you want, that has the styling you want to apply to this button as well. So now if we hit preview, what we'll see is that because, as an admin I'm logged in and I do not have this bundle applied, we're just seeing the buy course button. And we're not seeing the access course button because we don't have that bundle. And so that's really cool. That shows you that this is working. And I'll make this an even more concrete example. So here I am, and I'm logged in as a member on the site. So this is what the dashboard will look like for somebody who is a paying member of your membership site. And if we go down, we can see that I do not have access to this course. If I click this button, it will open up a checkout page. And I know we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. We're going to design the checkout page later in this video. But just for the sake of this example, this is what it could look like. So if someone wants this course, they can buy it. And so I'm going to go through this purchase, and I'm going to apply this bundle to my account, and then I'll show you what happens afterwards. Okay, so I've just simulated the purchase, and so now this person has bought this course. They now own the advanced course. And so if we refresh the page here, we can see that the button has changed from buy course to access course. And so this is really cool because what this means is that you can choose to display this section in the same way or in a similar way to the people who own it and who don't own it. But for the people who don't own it, you can make it very easy for them to buy this course directly from their member dashboard or anywhere else on your site. And if you're using Stripe or a payment processor with card on file functionality, you can have this be a one-click upsell, and their card can just be charged automatically, and you don't necessarily even have to run them through the checkout process. We have a lot of resources on how to create one-click upsells as well, and I'll include those in the blog post for this article. But the key thing to keep in mind is that we're using the member decision SmartTag to determine, does the person who's logged in have the bundle or not? If they have it, we're displaying the content between these brackets. If they don't have it, we're displaying the content that's not between these brackets. And so this can be applied to anything on your site, but for this example, we just are using this button as an example. So you could even have it be applied to the copy that's here, or you could have this whole section be displayed differently. You would just need to put the code in between the brackets based on what you want the person to see or not see. So hopefully this is helpful. Again, I'll include all the links to the resources in the blog post for this article. And if you have any questions about this, feel free to leave a comment in the post. I'll be happy to respond to you. So now we're going to get back to the rest of the video, and we'll show you how to build the rest of the member homepage and then a checkout page.
The next thing that is, a really popular element of a lot of memberships is an events calendar, or a place where people can go to get information about upcoming events in your community. So let's just create an area where people can get that information in a clean and simple way. And again, what we'll do is we'll just add a new section, and this can be a single column section. Now, this I'm going to leave boxed as well. I like to have kind of that variance between these, going from sort of narrower to wider. And what we'll do is I'm going to update the padding so that we have some nice spacing between everything else. So now that we have that, I added 50 pixels on each side, the top and the bottom. Let's go ahead and add a gradient overlay here. So previously we used an image, but you can also just go straight to a gradient. So I'll paste in the colors that I have here. And then we can start adding in some text about the events that you might have as part of your membership or your community. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you have this events header here, and then I'm going to add in a section that has icons on it. I think they can just be these sort of nice bullet points, and we'll go ahead and use the calendar icon. So the way to do that is to just go to the widget area and pull up this icon list component, and then we can just drag that right below, and then it's not going to be formatted, which is fine, but we can just go in and change each one. So I'm going to go to the icon library. This is just comes with Elementor. These aren't icons you have to pay extra for, and we'll pick this calendar icon here, and then we can change the list item to monthly coaching call and change the style. Oops, don't want to do that. So we'll change the icon color to white so that it matches with the text, and then I'll also change the text color to white. And now I'll change the sizes. So I'm going to make each font size 42. So we'll go to the typography here and change this to 42. And it might actually be a little bit big. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So the icon size is 42 and the text size is 28. Now we don't want these other ones to have this same look with these boxes. So we'll just copy this one, and then we can update the text here. So make this second one a guest expert masterclass. And then let's say this third one is a technical Q&A call. So I think that looks pretty good, but I do want to change the spacing between these a bit. So we can add a little bit of space to just make it look a bit nicer, not as cramped. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And then the same goes for all of this information here, is that the text for the monthly coaching call and the guest expert masterclass, technical Q&A call, these can all be links. So you can either put the Zoom links here if you want people to be able to register for them directly, or if you have a special page for these, you can link people to those pages. But this can just be a really easy way for people to orient themselves and find all of the core aspects of your membership. So now one of the last sections we're going to build here before we get to the footer and sort of wrap things up is let's say that you have a podcast for your membership or for your business in general. This can be a members only podcast that maybe only the people who are paying for access get to see, or maybe this is just a general podcast that you have as part of your brand. It could be really cool to embed an audio player and draw people's attention to your latest episode. This is something that you could set up to dynamically update itself, or you could just manually update it each time you put in a new podcast episode. But I'll show you how to create a section that allows you to do this, and show you how to style it just like we've done with everything else. So let's go ahead, create another section. Hopefully you're starting to get into the rhythm of everything and see how this all works. This one can be 2 columns because we'll have an embeddable section and we'll have an image section. Okay, so you'll notice I added in this text section here. I just added in a single column header section to say check out our latest podcast episode. Now we'll get into the design of this section. I'm going to match the width so that it lines up well with the section above it. So that's a 1200 width. Then we can go in and add an image. This can be any image you want associated with your podcast. I'm just going to choose sort of a generic one here. And then I'm going to make this section actually smaller. Looks good for now. And then do some of the same styling to add the border radius. Add a drop shadow there. And then here's where we'll actually use the HTML embed feature that I mentioned earlier. So just drag in an HTML block, and then I'll go grab the embed code for a podcast episode and show you what it looks like if you paste it in there. So I've copied the embed code from Buzzsprout, which is the tool we use for the MemberMouse podcast. And if we paste that in there, then we can see it gets displayed. And so someone can listen to this right from their member homepage. I think that is pretty cool. And same deal, we're going to want to change the align settings here so that it's to the middle. And because this is sort of a dynamic element that we don't have full control over, I'll also change that one. And we might want to just mess around with the styling here a little bit. So I will pause and be right back. Okay, great. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. It's nice and clean. And if we look at the preview for this page, we can see how it'll look down at the bottom here. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now let's wrap this up and we can create a footer section to sort of close out the member homepage. And for this, I'm going to edit this section that I had here. Let's actually change this to have it be at 100 for now. Just want to have some room to work with. And so what I'd like to do is, because the section above here is made with this gradient, sort of purple to darker purple, I'm going to start this section also with a gradient, but I'm going to resume where it left off and then end it on purple, which is where this page starts. Don't ask me why I'm doing that. I think it just looks good. So let's go to the style section here, and then for the gradient, I can copy over the information from there. Great, so I like the way that looks. You can see it kind of resumes where it left off. It's like this white section is just sort of imposed on top of it. Now what we can do is we can add an image. Again, this image can also be a link if you want. I'm just going to make this sort of the generic logo for this membership site, this academy. And I'm going to center it, change the width to be much smaller, like maybe around 20. That looks good. And then you can add whatever text you want here, any copyright information, any links. This can be a footer. What I'll do is I'll just add maybe the social icons so that if you want people to follow you on your social media platforms, they'll have easy access to those. So you can just drag this in below here and then choose which ones you want. Okay, so I've added, many of the main ones: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, etc. I'm going to change the shape to be circle. And then if we go to the style here, I want to make this sort of more black and white. So the primary color I'll set to black. And then the secondary color looks like it's already set to white, but I will reset it just to be sure. I think that's pretty good. And then I'll add a little bit more space in between these so that there's a little bit of room, maybe a little bit of padding on top. And then again, you can just go in here and add your links to your Instagram or your Facebook so that people have access to that. And then, yeah, that's about it for this page. So I'm going to save this and we can take a look at what this looks like. So I don't know why there's this little gap here, but when we look at this with a logged in account, it will look much better than that. So sort of from top to bottom, this is how it looks. We have this header area. All of these can become links, of course. You have the member data smart tag displaying the person's first name here and here, welcome video, and then helping people find the courses that they paid for, or whatever your content is. It could be community, it could be a lot of things that are part of your membership. But if we scroll through here, you can find the upcoming events. There's a latest podcast episode, and then we have the footer. So I think that this looks pretty great, and this is a very clean, simple area for your members to log into and to find the information that they need. I might play around with the styling a little bit more before we finalize everything, but from here I'm going to show you how you can apply these same principles to the MemberMouse core pages, like a checkout page. That's what we'll use in the example, so that you can also style those in the way that you have your theme set up. So I'm going to pause this and I will meet you right back here. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply many of the same principles we just used to create the member homepage to style a checkout page. And now a checkout page is a MemberMouse core page. These are created using SmartTags, and they have their own styling associated with them, but a lot of times the styling of those core pages may not match your theme. And so what I'm going to show you in this video will allow you to override any of the default MemberMouse styling so that your checkout page or your My Account page or any other MemberMouse core page can conform to the settings of your theme. And you'll be able to do all of this without editing any HTML or CSS or editing your theme. It's super easy. All you have to be able to do is paste in one little snippet into Elementor, which will activate this feature, and everything will be super easy for you from there on out. So I'm starting from scratch again, and what we're going to do is I'm going to set the core page settings here. I'm going to choose the template to the checkout page template, and so we're going to add that in. And what that's going to do is that's going to add in the default code from MemberMouse. These are all smart tags that create the forms and create all the functionality for a checkout page. Now, the important step here is to select all of this and then cut it. So just copy this to your clipboard and cut it out of this section. Again, change the template of this page to a canvas page so that it's just a blank canvas. We're going to save this, and then we'll go in and edit this with Elementor. So we have the checkout page code copied and saved in our clipboard. Now we can go into Elementor, and I'll show you what to do with all of this. So we're going to create a section. This can be just a single column section. And again, I'm going to adjust the padding. Let's go full width for now. And then what you'll want to do is just go down to the bottom here and add in the HTML section here. So drag that in, and then for the HTML code, paste in the code you copied from the MemberMouse checkout page that we got before. So I'm going to save this, and I'll show you what this looks like. So I've created this just basic account, a monthly membership 7-day free trial, $100 a month. And this is what this checkout page would look like without any styling. And so if you notice from when we created the member homepage, the default font of my site is Montserrat. And this is not Montserrat, this is probably pulling just from the theme, but we want to have this conform to the styles defined by Elementor. We also might want to change the color of this button, for example, and add other elements to have this be more than just a blank page. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So in order to override the default styling of the theme and from the MemberMouse shortcodes, all you have to do is go into this section here and go into Advanced, and where it says CSS classes, paste in this little bit of code. And this will be in the blog post, so if you're watching this, you can just copy and paste it right from the blog post. But basically, it's just Elementor-widget-text editor. And so that's going to apply all the information from Elementor and the way it's defining styles to your checkout page. So if we go back to this checkout page now and refresh it, we should be able to see that the styles have been updated. So there you go, that's pretty cool. Went from the font that was just set by the theme to the font that we have set through Elementor. So anything you do now will be, with this, will be conforming to the fonts and styles that you've defined through Elementor. So now if we go back to this area, we can do some of the things that we did before. So let's say we want to just create a header section here to have a little bit of design and not just have this be a very standard checkout page. We can create that. So I'll pause and create that and show you what that looks like. Okay, so now I've added a header section to this checkout page, and if you want this to be a standalone checkout page that you send people to either from an email or a sales page, this can be how you create it. If you want it to just be part of your standard site, of course, you can have your site-wide header on top of this page as well. Now, one thing I think I'd like to play with is making this checkout area not full width. So let's box it in. And then if we change this to maybe a 1200 width to see how that looks. So I'm going to update this page, and then we can take a look at how it looks here with the new styling. Awesome. Yeah, I think that looks really great. And one last thing that I want to do, I want to change the color of this button. So if we go down, you can see that the color is set to orange. Now, one thing that I would recommend is that if you're going to edit the content here in this HTML section, just make sure you're doing it here. I don't think Elementor even allows you to do it another place. But let's change the color of the button to blue and update it and take a look at how that looks. Awesome. And of course, I have the test service activated, so that's why you see that. But if you have Stripe or PayPal integrated and your payment options are live, you're not going to see that. And so yeah, that's how you can edit the core pages to make them conform to the stylings you've defined in Elementor. Obviously, you could add a footer, you could display your site's footer there as well. You could add any number of other things, a video, more text, information, whatever you can add with Elementor, you can add around this section as well. For this video, I'll keep things simple, but I do hope that this has been helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions about the processes I showed you in this video, and I'll be happy to elaborate in the comments, or we can create a follow-up video for you. And remember, you can get all of the specific code snippets and places to find things from the support center in the blog post that accompanies this video. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment there, and I will keep an eye out for those. So hope this helps. Hope you have fun designing your membership site with MemberMouse and Elementor. And again, if you have any questions, reach out. We are here to support you. Awesome. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.